And greetings, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Coming at you with tits out and balls to the wall again. Some more insanity as we look at things that have happened through the local government here in the new presidency, and DEI is down the drain, folks. So hopefully we'll see a slight change, but I don't know if that's possible quite yet. This stuff didn't happen overnight, so it's not going to fix itself, and we're not going to see real results overnight. Beware. No matter what a president tells you, we see how markets fluctuate from one party to another in presidencies and stuff, and it's just part of the game. How you doing tonight, Paulin?
Doing great. Living
Good.
life, loving life.
Absolutely. Living life, loving life, enjoying life. That's what it's all about, is enjoying it, no matter what the tests are. You know, I spoke about that earlier. Everybody thinks to seem life is punishing them when things happen. Certain things happen, people die, and they look at it as a punishment. What did I do to deserve, you know, losing my son or my daughter, my mom or my dad, my sister or brother, whatever. And that's the feelers part of things. And I think a lot of people are missing out on the reason and logic. And that's why we see all this insanity. So we're going to get into it. Go ahead.
Hey, Keith, can I say something real quick?
Sure.
It's like what you just explained to me is because I think maybe within myself, I should have went living life, enjoying life, then loving life. Because quiet. And what you
Absolutely.
were saying is like, I said that I was loving life, but to love life, I have to enjoy it first.
Yep.
And in parts
I
of
can see that.
yeah, there's not enjoying it. So, yeah. So thank you for that.
Yep. And I put enjoying at the end because the fact that you can love life and there are still factors about life that you don't enjoy. So above all, including those factors in life that you don't enjoy, at least love them enough that you can learn from them enough so you can enjoy when they happen because you notice when they're happening. And now you have previous experience to teach you a better way. So no matter what life is throwing at you, the ultimate, the third is the most. You have to learn how to enjoy it. Then you can love it and then you can live it. So let's take a look at this. This one here, it says, what kind of authority can make a judge apologize to a defendant who holds him in contempt? And if you understand how contempt works in these courts, there are certain rights and privileges that come along with those charges. So watch how this plays out.
Were you under the impression that compliance with a subpoena is voluntary?
Do you want me to talk?
Yes.
I was asserting privilege.
What privilege?
I can't say. It's privileged.
Oh, for God's sake.
Ask that Mr. Nugent be sworn in, Your Honor.
Not happening.
Do you understand that the law gives me the power to hold you here in custody until such time as you agree to be sworn in and take the stand?
You're new to this job, Judge. That's why you sent Cagney and Lacey here to interrupt my day with this nonsense. It's okay. So far, no damage has been done. I am willing to overlook the rookie mistake.
The marshals, put Mr. Nugent's handcuffs back on, please.
And admittedly, this is just a TV show. But understand, sometimes they tell you things right in front of your face. So if you pay attention, you understand what's being said, you can do your research. Don't believe me, don't believe the neighbor, don't believe the government, for crying out loud, don't believe your mother. Do your research so you know. So when you follow up on this information here by looking up the specific terms according to their definitions and stuff, and you find out in the end the guy is right, and he traps him into his own idiocy.
Okay, I gave you a chance to make it right. You refuse. I'll await your apology.
Please remove Mr. Nugent's handcuffs. Also, upon further reflection, it would seem that in denying Mr. Canning's motion to recuse, I was in error.
In denying Mr. Cannon's motion to recuse, I was in error. So what is the foundation in the error? He's trying to assert an authority of a contempt court over a party that's not subject to contempt because it's voluntary.
I take it you're sorry for what you did?
I am.
Might be good to say it out loud.
I'm sorry. Were you under the impression that...
You guys understand that? This is important to comprehend here, and I'm glad I played it first, because the reality is this, folks. If you're doing things voluntarily, you can voluntarily undo them. Voluntarily, he agreed to the subpoena. Voluntarily, he can now walk out. The judge is saying he can't. He doesn't have the authority to do so because it is, in fact, voluntary. So let's get to the next one. Can't remember a lot of these, but because it's been a while, but don't know again why some of them don't have volume.
Found him a family.
Can you please check Ryan's status?
Oh, this is the one about the foster care and adoption system. And I want you guys to pay attention because this is one of those stats they don't tell you about. See, they don't like owning up to their liabilities, obligations, culpabilities, responsibilities, and stuff. Already we know this enough. But when there are mistakes and they do get covered up, those are the stats you don't see.
It's the adoption registry.
Ah, here he is. Oh, that's not right. Ryan's no longer in our active adoption file.
What? How is that possible?
Ryan's been transferred to our independent living program, which will give him job training in anticipation of aging out of the system upon turning 18 next year.
He's
In anticipation of aging out of the system. This is the same thing as emancipation. Same thing as age of majority. It's just done in a different grammar due to a different jurisdiction. But it happens the same day in and day out And it starts with the children. You think you get to be an adult and these laws and codes haven't been applied to you already? You may not realize that your mom and dad themselves are indoctrinated to believe the police are their authority.
12. The independent living program doesn't start until age 14.
According to Ryan's records, he's 17.
Well, that would explain why he hasn't had any prospective parent meetings. If you thought he was 17, you would have stopped the matching process 3 years ago.
We migrated our system 3 years ago from paper to online.
From paper to online. So in the translation from paper to online, I can assure you this is not the only case where such things with the intent of the system didn't in fact depreciate the more basic necessity of parentage of, quote, biological people to take upon such responsibility, but maintained a ward of the state. How convenient and how profitable for them. Them Title 4D contracts are amazing.
There must have been a data entry error.
I don't have parents because of a mistake. We'd like this fixed immediately.
I'll need to get a copy of his birth. There must have been a data entry error.
I don't have parents because of a mistake.
There must have been a data entry error.
I don't have parents because of a mistake.
There must have been a data entry error.
I don't have parents because of a mistake.
And this is what I've said all along, folks. See, it's the data elements that you're entering into the record, and that record isn't for you. You have to qualify first. And if you look at the Social Security Act, you'll see that it's for Medicare qualified government employees. And you'll find out that this is in fact what you're classified as when you are born through the state's Bureau of Vital Statistics, as the state's vital statistics jurisdiction is established for Medicare qualified government employees. So they can keep track of them through identifications because they're wards of the state. How is that so? You're a Medicare you're a Medicare qualified government employee the day you're born. See, that's the classification. Look it up. And anytime you go to the Social Security Administration, whether you've been a public official or not, in any aspect, and you go in and you do a review, and they give you that printout, on that printout, there's going to be a spot that says MGQE, Medicare, MQGE, Medicare Qualified Government Employee. And if you ask them what that abbreviation stands for, they'll tell you, Medicare Qualified Government Employee. But I'm not such an employee. Oh, well, then there's a mistake. Go ahead, brother.
So why is it that way? I mean,
because it's a presumption. Because it's a presumption that sets a classification that most people are indoctrinated in. Nobody's ever taught this stuff. That's why I say, don't believe me. Don't believe the neighbor. Don't believe the government. Don't believe your mother, for crying out loud. Do your research so you know. Because even your mom and dad have been indoctrinated, and they're going to teach you the same thing they've been taught. You have to learn how to have critical thinking and abstractly think outside of that border, outside of those particulars. You have to think outside of the concept that the police are your authority. You got to get out of that fear and understand that there is a greater authority. That 12-step program, understand that there's a higher power, and it sure as hell isn't me. Sure as hell isn't my mom and dad. Sure as hell isn't the police. It's the thing that connectively created us all, a source of life. And in the end, if things get out of hand, we will destroy each other's lives. Live, love, and enjoy.
We'd like this fixed immediately.
I'll need to get a copy of his birth certificate from Sacramento. It'll take a few months.
Unless you want us to drag your department to court, we want him back on that adoption list by end of business today.
Ryan is a ward of the state, which means he cannot engage a lawyer without my consent. And I do not.
See, that's that power of attorney. That's what the adoption is about. See, the adoption takes the power of attorney and makes an assignment to somebody that isn't the biological mom or dad, because society somehow claimed that mom and dad aren't capable of raising the child. In my case, the children, 5 of us. And rather than keep the family together, this adoption and foster care system will maintain profits. So if one person comes along, or one mom and dad come along and want to adopt one child, they have their selection, and they will select out of a family of 5, one child that they think is better than the rest. So even in the foster care system, it's still a popularity contest, because no parent wants to put up with 3 children, one of which has got a diaper problem at the age of 8, one that still has a temper problem at the age of 10, and one that has a sexual problem at the age of 11. This is a different set of foster kids that the same foster parents that adopted me were raising or running through the foster care system as they picked children that they wanted to make a family out of. It happens day in and day out through this foster care system. And again, like I've said before, it's a popularity contest. And even you biological moms and dads assert yourself in it by the public education system, the child protective services. All of that stems from the Social Security birth enumeration, which is false. Minimum standards for birth registration are not applicable because there is no birth registration in the United States. And now that you know that, and that there is no factual foundation on that presumptive record, you can defeat it. Simple facts. Minimum standards for birth registration, one of the qualifications is it has to be registered in the United States. It doesn't exist. So let's continue on and finish up. This is what that vital statistics jurisdiction is all about, folks.
Consent.
I just had a baby. I have hormones coursing through my body. And if you think you can deter me from helping Ryan, well, let's just say I can be a real mother.
Okay.
It's been 10 years.
See, when somebody's looking out for the best interests of the children, that's known as a local parentis. And that power of attorney has no power against the best interests of the child, no matter who presents it. And they don't need a power of attorney. They merely need the best interests of that child. This is the problem with most people in society. They think they need a piece of paper. Understand Isaiah 54 in whole, as it starts out, sing, O barren mother, and talks about there are more children of the desolate than there are of the married wife.
I have a statement, I guess, in some way. It's when you were saying they think they need a piece of paper. What I've came in contact with was a lot of people claiming they had a piece of paper.
Right.
You know what I mean? When it's like, no, this is for the best interest of the child. No, I have a piece of paper that says this, and I have a piece of paper that says that.
Right. And see, when it comes down to it, like I said, I've got 3 birth certificates here. How valid are they? Well, they're saying they got the full faith and credit of the United States. Well, how much is that? Well, let's check the records and make sure that any creditors that feel they are owed payment, as I described, payment is redemption according to their codes. So all I got to do is make sure there's an appropriate bonding for that payment. And I believe these suffice because they are birth certificates supposedly proving United States citizenship when it doesn't do that. It can't. So where is the dual citizenship?
What does it do?
It provides evidence that it's supposed to be established, but never was. So now I can use it as a bond under obligations and other securities of the United States in a forensic audit of the records, Social Security and enumeration at birth records, all of them. That state's vital statistics jurisdiction. I want everything checked so that all creditors, quote, unquote, are paid and made whole. And so that any remainders are reverted into the new estate under a new name through redemption. Payment means redemption. So I'm going to make payment because everything to date has only been promised to pay. So that means a future date. That means there's something owing. All I got to do is redeem what is owed. Owe no man anything but to love one another, for to love one another is to fulfill the law. and that the fulfillment of the law is merely correcting the records. I'm not charging any man. I'm not accusing any man. What I'm saying is that the records are in error, and they're supposed to have a certain integrity, and I can show where it's not. United States citizen doesn't exist by their own records.
So do you think this was started just to place bondage?
I have no idea. All I know is the effect creates a false servitude that I call bitch-ass slaves. Because like I said, that enumeration at birth, the minimum birth registration standards fail. And I've repeated it many times, and you cannot say it does satisfy. It's the American Bar Association that tells the world there is no birth registration in the United States. Yet it's Westlaw that says in their codes under the U.S. code that, yeah, it's required to have a birth registered in the United States. It's never been registered in the United States. So how do you do that? You redeem it through transfer of title, expenses incidental to transfer of title to the agency. And that's from all the different agencies that you dispersed it throughout your entire life through all the states. Whatever state you lived in and claimed yourself a resident, all those records, employment records, tax records, real estate records, school records, employment records, tax records, all of them. They need to go through a forensic accounting because you made a claim of residency when you're not a resident, federal, state, or municipal officer or agent whose resident presence is deemed necessary by the board. Neither of those events are possible unless you went to the board and became a resident, clarifying that you had a birth registered in the United States already, so you could then reside in one of the states. Greetings, Scott. How you doing tonight?
Good, thanks, buddy. How you doing?
Good, good. Just going over some of the insanity and hopefully trying to explain it.
It's all insanity anymore, isn't it?
Yep.
I'm here to learn. Keep on going. Thanks.
Well, give me your input because all we're doing is going through shorts and pointing out the insanity. You know, you might even want to call it Captain Obvious.
Yeah. Some of this stuff is crazy.
10 o'clock at night. A woman.
This is one that this is one that I want people to pay attention to because I just mentioned the thing about living in fear because we've been indoctrinated by our parents. Now, this is a social experiment type thing, and that's the kind of thing I like to get into. I've read all kinds of psychological studies on children, adults, social experiments, all kinds of things. And I like to know how people behave, body languages, all kinds of things. So pay attention to this one because this is an aspect I don't think too many people pay attention to. And I've tried to point it out before in relations to my ex, who tried to claim that I was abusive. And supposedly had witnesses that would go to court and testify that, yes, I got mad and got in her face. Damn right I got in her face. But only after we started arguing in the house in the living room, and I said, okay, well, I don't want to argue anymore, so I'm going to go out to the kitchen and make dinner. I went out to the kitchen, and instead of leaving it and letting it drop, she wanted to come into the kitchen and continue on with the argument. So I said, okay, you make dinner. I'm going out to the garage. I need to calm down, and you need to leave me alone. Went out to the garage, and lo and behold, she come out to the garage again. So I went outside the garage and said, hey, listen, you seriously need to leave me the fuck alone, or I'm going to leave. She turned around, stepped in between me and the car, and that's when I got in her face, threw my pop down, and told her to get the fuck away from me. That's what the court would see in testimony, because I get to say my side, and I know you're not going to lie. I know you have to admit the argument started in the house. And any reasonable man would see that by my record, I'm not violent, and here you are trying to pose that I am all of a sudden after all these years. So pay attention to the psychology of how we behave and the fears that tell us to do or not do certain things. And this is a simple one.
Alone in a building, 10 o'clock at night, on the 15th floor, is working late in the office, and now she's leaving the office to go home. She walks down the hall, pushes the elevator button, and the elevator opens up, and there's a man inside who causes her fear. Does not matter why. And what does she do? She says, oh, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to live like that. Or I don't want to make him think that I'm not getting in the elevator because he's Hispanic or he's black or whatever the issue is. All of those ways in which we cross-examine our own feelings. And so she gets into a steel soundproofed chamber with someone she's afraid of. And there's not another animal in nature that would even consider doing that. Not even the bravest predator would say, there's danger over there, let me go that way. And at the center of every kind of victimization I've ever seen is somebody who saw some signal, got some information, and denied it.
And that's that statistical record that people want to pay attention to as it relates to the woman getting into that elevator and then trying to assert that reason and logic is better than her intuition that should say, no, don't get into that elevator alone with a man. And that intuition is what we're supposed to be listening to. We are inherently ingrained with intuition, and that's that part about our childhood, our intuition. Don't believe that a child is stupid just because he doesn't know. His intuition will lead him to greater truths if you let him follow that. So when we start listening to these statistics and it becomes a fear, and then we become desensitized, to the intuition embedded in that fear that says logically he's likely not, but intuitionally it is better if I just turn around, go back to the office like I forgot something, and let the elevator pass and get it when it's empty. What do you guys think? Do you guys use some kind of false reason and logic that we've been ingrained with through this societal living that says, well, it's not as dangerous here in this town as it is in New York, so I'm probably pretty safe here, so we could be lax about it?
Shoot, yeah. I do it like, if I really paid attention, I probably do it at least twice a week.
Yeah, I think I found that when I was moving around for a short while there, and I lived in some small towns, and I certainly know I felt more comfortable in the smaller towns.
I've lived in not a rural area, a residential area with houses right on top of each other for years, and left keys in the car, left the front door unlocked for many years. Had a German Shepherd that made things a little easier, I guess, on the mind at one point. But,
yeah.
The reality is, until probably the last 5 or 8 years where I've changed my disposition, and for real, it's not my neighbors or people out there, it's law enforcement that's made me lock my doors.
Amazing how that works, isn't it? See,
Fucking
that's one of the reasons we're going through these shorts, and you'll notice a lot of times I like to do nothing but police videos because that's a major portion of the problem. Like I said, my mom and dad were indoctrinated, and when my mom looked at me and said, "Keith, the police are your authority," it smacked me in the face how deeply indoctrinated she was. Like I said, she's in her 80s now, and there's nothing I can do to help her. This is the woman that brought me up in Christianity. That's why I don't go with Christianity anymore. I think it's more, like I said, in my adult life, I've researched other spiritual aspects and spiritual cultures, and I come to realize even within the Christian sects, the various different Presbyterian, Protestant, Methodist, Baptist, you name it, all of them come down to the same basic principle as do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It only seems reasonable, intuitive, and logical, like the man explained in this video. Normally, any other animal intuitively knows that that is dangerous. They will not do that.
See, and it's like what you said. When people say that saying of do unto others as you would have them do unto you, what you were talking about earlier when I said I do it like 2 times a week if I really think about it, is because people will treat you a certain way or just in passing or something. And it's like, if you think about that a person treats you that way because in some way they expect to be treated that way. And if you are a person that's not able to treat them that way, then your intuition then kind of like steps in, because if you're gonna like let's just say do something derogatory, and if you want people to treat you in a derogatory manner because that's how you're treating me, I can't be that person.
Right.
So it causes that kind of that confusion of, I still won't be derogatory, but I'll try to find some form of I don't want to say agreement, but some sort of passive to still make that work, but not be the derogatory person.
Yeah, and that's sometimes where we've got to discern whether we should just stop the communication, interactions, whatever, because that goes to the concept that if they're pulling it too extreme, this is why we're going through these videos. You know, people using their feelers as if though that's truth and knowledge, and it's not. We have to start understanding the logic and reason factors and the intuition and instincts. The emotions are the third level, right? We have intuition and instincts, then we have reason and logic, and then we have emotions that we can associate through the reason and logic that we instill in our interaction. I mean,
Why do women always use the emotion and just do what feels good rather than what they know is right?
You'd have to ask them. And I don't know that all women are that way. I know my
majority, I would say, but yeah, no, they're not all that way. That's a fucking broad statement, but
yeah, it's a, you know, it's a feminist aspect. But whereas the men, they have a masculine aspect of the same thing, but in their giving, through protections and conveniences, they also incorporate their own likings into them, but they are not the majority. They're still done for the women and children. This is why men strive so much with that ego to make sure that they're talented in the ways that they need to be to provide and protect for their family. This is the dogmatic delusion that we live in now, the Democrazy, as I call it, why we see all these insane clips of people that are dealing with their emotions. They're not acting intuitively, instinctually, logically, reasonably. They're acting on their emotions. And like I said, that's third level.
Democracy just basically rules by force.
Yeah, and when people are using their emotions for that democracy. Now listen, I was in on a panel earlier and the guy was saying, well, I feel that a majority of people don't like being videoed. That's fine. You can be in your feelers all you want, but you can't dismiss the First Amendment for it. Particularly when the ones that are imposing that First Amendment, Big Brother, are the ones that have video on you 24/7. So don't sit there and say to me that I'm going to destroy somebody's small business by walking in and videoing his customers and making them feel uncomfortable. I'm not the one making them feel uncomfortable. It's Big Daddy imposing these restrictions on First Amendment activities and making you believe that I don't have the right to record in public. You have the responsibility of maintaining your privacy. So if you don't want to be on camera, wear a fucking mask. How coincidental. Wait a minute. The store shops won't let me come in wearing a mask. They're afraid I'm a thief. Huh. So when the government imposed the mask mandate, all of a sudden the business owners weren't concerned about thieves walking in with masks as the government told them to?
Kind of funny.
This is the insanity of that Democrazy you are following. Again, I'm not telling anybody to follow those laws. I'm trying to explain to you and expose to you the insanity of following those laws, because it looks to me like you're willing to be a Hitler's willing executioner doing what a false patriarch tells you to do instead of what's written in your heart. Doing what's in the best interest of the children. For crying out loud. The next one is Woody Harrelson, controversial Saturday Night Live monologue. Let's check this out.
Yeah, kooky liberals. Yeah, I've been...
Kooky liberals. Look at that look. Look at the smile on his face as he gets ready to talk about this.
thinking a lot about that lately.
Did you get a lot of that after Saturday Night Live? A lot of kooky liberals coming your way?
Well, I got a lot of blowback, as I knew I would, you know, because
you told the truth.
Well, yeah. Okay, so the movie goes like this. The biggest drug cartels in the world get together and buy up all the media and all the politicians and force all the people in the world to stay locked in their homes. And people can only come out if they take the cartel's drugs and keep
What? I didn't say that.
taking them over and over. I threw the script away. I mean, who is going to believe that crazy idea? Yeah.
Yeah, who's going to believe that crazy idea, huh? Right in your face, folks. I'm not the only one that sees it that way. Like I just said, Big Brother's the one that put the cameras in your face. You don't feel uncomfortable with them videoing you 24/7. But you're going to be uncomfortable with me because it might make it on a public record. Excuse me, Big Brother keeping an eye on you in public spaces is a public record. People are insane. Get real. Get with it. What do you guys got?
I just think it's rules for thee, not for we. You know, I mean, it's so fucking bizarre that we have the system that we do. I mean, I've kind of traced it, thanks to your help and other people, on how this shit fucking works. I don't know. I mean, I really think that Trump is ending the bureaucracy and the deep state fucking.
Well, if that's what you think, then go ahead, because the infiltration of people that they're going to supposedly qualify into these positions still are only qualified by a degree on the wall through an educational center that is still, just like the media, controlled by this government.
Well, and I agree with you, but I don't think they can just end the government and tell everybody they've been robbing us, because you'll have chaos and anarchy overnight.
No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that it's not going to be an overnight thing. Like I said, this has been taking, decades and decades and decades and decades, possibly centuries, eons. Like I said, the deep state in its originality is the foundational element that is intent on destroying the family foundation, so that it can enumerate the bitch ass slaves that are willing to pay tribute to that false patriarch out of fear.
The deep state.
Why do people keep putting chaos and anarchy together?
Yeah, it's not. Well, yeah, anarchy might be a part of a situation where chaos erupts.
That's the problem.
But anarchy,
it almost always causes chaos. Anarchy almost always causes chaos because people don't understand both sides of a coin.
Right, and the other side of the coin is that anarchy is the first step in overthrowing a despotic government, and the intent is not to have no government, but to be the body of people to then create the new government. We do not, as a people that believe in liberty, we cannot fall to the confines of somebody's particular definitions and stuff. We have to understand the abstract concept of each word as it's intended, and that is that in anarchy, though we don't believe in a governing body over us, we still believe that there are people that need government. The law is made for the lawless, and there are always going to be lawless people. Therefore, we do support a governing body that can, in fact, have control and enforcement mechanisms over the lawless.
You kind of don't want to change what's in place. That's what I'm thinking. When I look at it, it's like you want to the Rockefeller statement, or is it Rockefeller or Roosevelt? It's Rockefeller. You own nothing, control everything. Put it in trust. Try and wrap things up with a nice little neat bow so that the government can't touch it, and let the people that don't understand that be a part of the system. Let them be a part of that teardrop effect.
And that's another part of it. See, you can't just be the body of people that creates a government. You have to have people willing to be part of that governance in one aspect or another. And I think the most important aspect we need to comprehend is that as a people, we are the superior form of government, and we have to assert all of those rights. The only way we can do that is by knowing them. So even if we're not serving as a portion of that government, we still have to assert the authority of that government so that when we see people committing crimes, we too, in sense, hold that honor and integrity to say, hey, I may not be your big brother as according to that government, but I'm the one that instituted that government to keep an eye on people such as you because you're not acting in honor. You're not supposed to be stealing from your brother.
So would that be like the neighborhood watch, or is that why they got rid of like the citizens arrest?
Absolutely. I love the neighborhood watch, and this is why I say we have the hands at our hands, a neighborhood watch program right here as we walk about throughout our day. This device here, this telephonic device with the camera and video recorder and audio recorder and everything, is one of the greatest technologies that we can use to enforce that First Amendment. That's what people that are weak and in fear of it are trying to avoid or evade.
Boy, it's a quagmire. I'll tell you what, I am fucking proud to say I'm a free man and that we didn't have smartphones when I was growing up.
Yep.
Holy shit. The number of my friends that would have fallen victim to that, by God.
Do you think the people that have a problem with that when they're being videotaped and they can't really see the person, so they don't care that they're actually being on public record, and then they see a person, is it because somewhere within themselves they have something to hide?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Those are the only people that would be fear of it, or project that kind of fear, is because they don't know how to act in public.
I believe that.
And that's what they exude when they act like that.
I believe there's a double-edged sword there. I think there's some people that are just embarrassed or don't want to be filmed or photographed, and they don't want to be a part of anybody.
And they shouldn't go to public events like parades and stuff. I've seen
if they're working in a store or something like, you know,
public accommodation. They've got cameras in those stores for theft.
I know that, but some people, even though they're not aware of the Second Amendment, they don't realize, or First Amendment rather, they don't realize that the people are well within their right to film in public and from public to anything they can see. They don't realize that, but their inclination is to say, don't film me. It's what I hear all the time, and I watch a lot of these videos. Don't film me. You have to have my permission. No, they don't. No, they don't.
And that's because they don't know, and that should tell you. Again,
reality.
Listen, let me speak. Again, you have to understand, that's the mentality. That's why we go through these videos. It's a majority of people out there acting in these insane ways because they don't know. They've somehow gone through an education system that promised them a good education and didn't follow through with it because we have a society, a mass portion of the society that doesn't even understand the First fucking Amendment. The most major piece of literature of all of mankind, no matter whether, and I want to remind everybody, the recent celebration of Greek Independence Day as well. I was reminded of that on another panel. See, this First Amendment isn't just for America. It's for all people around the world. But the problem, again, is a majority of the people, not just in America, but around the world, are behaving the same insane way because they don't understand that simple concept.
But look at what you said earlier about the concept of the elevator, and you know, we listened to this, and the girl gets in anyways against her better judgment. Now you take the person who you're pointing a camera at. In their mind, are they being trapped in an elevator? Are they being put in a position where they want out, but they don't figure they know a way out?
Again, you can't pose that because they're going out into public where they're already on camera.
I get it.
So you have to distinguish. So you have to distinguish the difference. So I'm on camera according to this business, and all of a sudden this man comes up with a camera. What is the difference? Has this man all of a sudden offended me simply because he wants to video in public?
I don't think there's a rationale. I don't think they think about the cameras that are on top of them all the time.
The elevator has a camera in it.
All of them do.
Absolutely.
I know. But I'm saying there's 200 cameras that catch
For
you
your
walk out
safety.
your door. Yes.
For your safety. So I don't have the right to use a camera of my own so I can make my own record? Freedom of expression?
My entire thought process here is not whether or not it's right or just. It's why do people react so poorly to it, and what makes them think that they're not susceptible.
Again, because they don't understand it. Listen to this guy. This guy's going to show you 90% of the people out here.
This dude beat himself with his own logic. You have to see this.
To believe that the moment after the child is outside of the birth canal, that they are now endowed with human rights.
Yes. Interesting.
However, when they are inside of the mother, literally anything you do to them is acceptable because they're inside of the mother.
Oh, no, I don't think anything's acceptable, but I think the mother should still have the choice, ultimate authority over what happens to her body.
But there's a child inside of her body.
Hold on.
What about meth?
Like, should she be allowed to do meth?
Yeah.
Yeah, good question. Pay attention, folks.
Way to go, Tim.
Good question.
I think if someone is doing meth while they're pregnant, that it is completely acceptable for something like, I don't know what the name of the services in the United States.
Child services? I guess CCFS would be.
Yeah.
It's her body, though.
You've used my logic against me.
Yeah, it's her body.
If she wants to do meth, what's the big deal?
Fuck it.
The big deal is that she's intentionally trying to kill a child.
No, you just said that the child isn't a child until he's outside of the womb and has those rights.
And she has body autonomy.
Yeah. He just destroyed himself. And this is what 90%, this is what 90% of the people do. They destroy themselves if you just listen to them.
They want to eat their cake and have it too.
Yep. So let's take a look at this one. This is a female tyrant cop coming to demand ID. Like I expressed earlier, you can't demand somebody give over ID. This is the scripture that says, know thyself. And you're looking specifically for a commercial or legal entity. And I have no such. That's a matter of grammar. So let's take a look at this female tyrant cop. And we got Mitchell with us. Greetings, Mitchell. Good to see you.
Hey, what's up, man? Thank you. Good to see you.
Sergeant Dasley from the San Jose Police Department. The video that you're showing, it has our uniforms. So can you?
That's fine. You need a sound off anyways by policy, and I don't need to come on out of my residence.
Yeah, Mitchell agreed with this. She came up, and it's presumed to be a consensual communication, and therefore proper etiquette denounces that she needs to address herself appropriately. Coincidentally, name, rank, and serial number.
Hello.
Yeah, that sound military? You got to be diplomatic about it, don't you, Mitch?
Exactly.
You don't go out for your policy and you're illegally parked.
Illegally parked?
Yes.
Don't think so.
Yes, you can't be here for more than 72 hours.
Yes, you can.
This is someone, Mitch, living in their, quote, vehicle.
Yes, you can. Yeah, 2 tickets and less than 24 hours.
So there's obviously a reason because there's been a bunch of complaints. So
you can get.
No, there haven't been a bunch of complaints because the prosecutor would have to sign a document, an affidavit of complaint by the one making the complaint, and it has to have a injury, a definite harm, not conclusory. There is no such thing. Just because somebody calls in and complains doesn't mean there's a complaint, dummy.
Whatever happened to having a jury of your peers make decisions rather than these fucking people on the side of the road?
Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. She can't even be a complainant. And she's saying there's a complaint. No, there isn't, because there's never been one lodged through the prosecuting attorney with the affidavit and the signatures. Period.
All the complaints you want. They don't mean I'm doing anything illegal. By my constitutional rights, I have the right to be here.
I call it crying. I don't call it complaint. I call it crying.
I'm not storage. I'm not abandoned. I'm lived in.
Okay. Yes, and you can't keep your vehicle parked here for more than 72 hours.
Under storage and abandoned. Read your stipulations.
Yep. See, when they claim to come and be able to tow your vehicle away after 72 hours, they can only do that under the abandonment and storage. And she's not using it as a storage spot, and she's not abandoning it because she's in it.
It's a habitat.
And mobile at that. And therefore the 72-hour limit doesn't apply until there's a valid complaint that she's taking up space that could be better used by somebody that it's intended to be used by, because she is in fact living a transitory life. So they would make her move on. But that's just 72 hours, so they can't sit there and write her tickets before that 72 hours. And just like trespassing, they have to convict her of, they have to have some kind of criminal complaint, and that would only be somebody crying, which they could then trespass her to tell her to move along because she is transitory. That would be the only complaint as to the right of passage or portage. Same thing.
The government then is not into education. Like
Absolutely
you're saying.
not. Absolutely not. It is into indoctrination, which is a program of remembering, not a program of instilling people to use their own thought processes, because we all learn differently.
They stamp the intuition out of you.
Yep.
No, actually, you can't.
You're dismissed. Sorry, what's your name?
Sergeant Dasley from the C.O.W.A.R.D.S Police Department. The video that you're showing, it has our uniforms. So can you?
That's fine. You need a sound off anyways by policy, and I don't need to come on out of my residence.
We don't.
See, she forgot the number. She gave her rank and her name, but forgot the number.
Why did that girl call it her residence?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
That's one of the problems. That's resident
term.
Yeah, residence. Yeah, residence is a commercial term that you really shouldn't be using, because when you look at it in the state statutes, it's a military requirement or a requirement for income tax purposes.
So what would that lady been better off saying instead of habitat. I don't have to come out?
Personal property or habitat, no?
Yeah, personal property. It's my property. I have property is the rights and interest to enjoy the possession and use of a thing for your benefit. That is literally the AM jurisprudence definition of property under Westlaw. Property is the rights and interests to the enjoyment of possession and use of a thing for your benefit.
The Constitution, I don't like to think of the Constitution as rights. I think of them as protections. They're guiding them as to what they're allowed to do. And when it's, we're supposed to be secure in our papers, property, and effects. So that's your property. They're not supposed to fuck with it at all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The next one, it says you need to know this next time you get caught speeding. And this is one of the things I try to instill upon people. Again, don't believe me. Don't believe the neighbor. Don't believe the government. Crying out loud, don't believe your mother. Do your research so you know. And this is something you should do each and every time you get any kind of citation or public incident report or anything, is research those terms and conditions and their requirements. Learn their job. Because when you learn their job and you find the failure in their job, it's dismissal. Watch.
And a measured 100-foot, there's all kinds of requirements about how you have to calibrate a laser before you use it. And one of the requirements is that at the beginning of the shift, before they ever use it, they have to measure it against a measured 100-foot distance on a 12 by 12 metal sign. We have
12 by 12 metal sign, 100-foot distance.
Had a number of tickets with this one particular deputy. She was about to put the laser of the speed evidence in. Of course, I object and say, well, let's talk about the calibration. She goes, oh, I calibrate it. Every morning I get up, I stand on a line I drew in my driveway, which is 100 feet away, and I shoot it at my mailbox.
12 by sign, or 12 by 12 sign versus at my mailbox. The law is specific, folks.
and it says it's 100 feet. Your Honor, the rule's very clear. They're right here. It's got to be calibrated 100 feet on a 12 by 12 metal sign. Judge was like, case dismissed. And then he said, anybody else here have a laser ticket with this particular young lady deputy? And half a dozen people stood up. He said, give your tickets to the clerk. You're all dismissed.
Absolutely. See, this is the law is construed to be uniform throughout all jurisdictions, and it to be equally applied among the states, and therefore you can't hold a judge guilty over another that has just been set free due to the same circumstances. This is people similarly situated. And I'm saying that people across this land are similarly situated when they're indoctrinated to believe that name and address through that identification. You've been addressed improperly. You were not taught the proper diplomatic channels of etiquette. The next one is, imagine if the roles were reversed.
Social media influencers need to go through some type of training on modesty because this is getting out of hand.
Women are nasty now, something I've noticed. To say this right at the top of 2024, we have become the perverts. What's even more ironic
That is ironic, isn't it?
Is that as we point the finger and pretend that men are the perverts, Me Too error, it's actually us. We have become the sexual aggressors. Take this one example. This is a social media influencer. She was butt naked and decided to paint blue onto herself and go to the gym to see how men would react. Take a listen.
You don't have clothes on, you need to be out of here, man. I do have clothes on. That's funny. How's your body? That is fine.
Yeah, see, she doesn't have clothes on. It's body paint. In other words, you can actually see her parts.
I work in the industry enough to know.
What should have happened is that she should have been arrested for indecent exposure. But again, that didn't happen because men are supposed to just take it. What an absolute creep this woman is.
Social media influencers need to...
Imagine if a man went out and tried to pose he was wearing clothes in body paint and his junk was hanging out.
He'd bust his ass over the back of the head with
I've been indoctrinated because I'd be like, that's the gym I need to go to.
Right. You have been. You fucking harlot whore. So let's take a look at the next one. Scott Jennings shuts down a liberal woman's argument. And again, you can call me a misogynist all you want. Feel free. Your ad hominem attacks don't touch the subject. When you can touch the subject and talk about truth and reality, feel free.
This liberal woman had a meltdown after Scott Jennings exposed her for her real agenda by calling her out.
But I just, if I may address one issue. You just denigrated Bongino's law enforcement credentials. He was a cop and a Secret Service agent. You denigrated his academic credentials. He has a master's degree.
Just because he was a police officer doesn't make him qualified to run a 30,000 person, $11 billion budget agency, just like P.I.G.S.C.U.N.T.S.
But you know what does? Because he,
National Guardsman or everyone doesn't either. Thank you for your service.
Confidence and the pleasure of the president.
Whose judgment is terrible.
And I'm sorry that you are not yet over the outcome of the election.
No, look at what's happening to our country, and I'll never be over it, Scott. This is dismantling our democracy in front of our eyes, and you guys are okay with it. Does Dan?
This is a danger to our democracy. Remember that? That's the rhetoric. This is dangerous to our democracy.
How fucking bizarre that these people would think that it's not a danger to our democracy, that they're trying to undermine the will of the public at large.
Well, yeah, and he's trying to put somebody that's absolutely qualified into the office, and they're arguing that he's not qualified, that he's an idiot, that he doesn't have experience. Excuse me?
He was on detail for Barack Obama with the CIA. He was assigned personally to Obama. It wasn't like he had some other.
But my fifis.
Bongino have the qualifications to be the second person in charge of the FBI?
Yes, he has law enforcement, he has academic, and again, let me just stress this. I've mentioned this before.
You stack up
they
his
serve at the
credentials
pleasure of the president. That's the political appointment.
I know that is the answer to every question, is that Donald Trump wants it, so therefore it is good.
For political appointments, yes.
When we look at, we're talking about people who are qualified and not, and you look at his resume and compare it to Republican and Democrat nominees for that same position, Is he qualified?
I mean, first of all, I'm not sure all the people that have been appointed in the past have covered themselves in glory. I mean, some of them have done a terrible job and gotten in lots of trouble.
Look,
This liberal woman.
See, they just can't get over it that each and every presidency, it was the president that did the assignments of his own cabinet. It is part of the process. And now they're complaining and saying that he's putting people in that aren't qualified, that are obviously qualified. And it's because it's a danger to their democracy. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less.
You had to look up the clip that there's Dan Bongino is hated by the left pretty much. One of the big reasons is that when he was with Obama, after he got out of serving with the CIA for Obama, or the Secret Service rather, he went on to say that Obama had actually said about Joe Biden that Joe Biden was capable of fucking just about anything up. And Dan was one that brought that out. So they don't like him for that at all. But it was kind of funny.
Well, that's part of the problem, though, is that because Bongino is so qualified, and remember, folks, this is the DEI down the drain, putting qualified people in those positions to root out the others that are not qualified. Period. That's how the swamp is going to get drained.
That's
but again,
what Hegseth's doing. That's what Bongino's doing. That's what Kash Patel's doing. That's what Bondi's doing at the Justice Department. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, and it's just going to take time. Don't expect it overnight. Okay? It's just like Epstein, P. Diddy. It's going to take time because it's touchy. Next one.
They took this out of history books.
It was the story about George Washington.
The bulletproof president?
Yeah.
You know, George Washington was a courier for General Braddock, one of the English generals during the French and Indian War. All of the couriers were killed, and Washington had 2 horses shot from beneath him, and he had 4 bullet holes in his jacket, but no flesh wounds. He had bullet fragments in his hair, no flesh wounds. Many years later, he still hadn't become president yet, but he was back in the area, and one of the Indian chiefs who had been involved was elderly at that point, near death. He said to his braves, "Take me to see this man. I must see him before I die." And when they brought him in the presence of Washington, he said, "Sir, I'm an expert marksman, and I shot you 17 times. And my men shot you." And pretty soon I told them to stop wasting their bullets. And I just wanted to meet the man who was protected by the great presence above. That story used to be in all of our history books until it became politically incorrect.
Until it became politically incorrect. See, this is the history. It's the story of victory over the victim. And so when you see them taking parts of history out, you start getting a better perspective of what really happened. So again, like I said earlier, you know, Greek Independence Day, what about the Native Americans? You know, we talk about this reparations and stuff. What about the Native Americans and reparations? There are a lot of questions when it comes to being politically correct in that history and its annals of time. They're skewed. They're lies. The record has no integrity. You're not a United States citizen. You're not a resident, most likely. Very few of those kinds of people carrying those kinds of statuses. Here we got one.
Even you said that nobody owns the land.
Correct. Correct. That according to the scripture, the land is not to be sold forever, for it is mine, and ye are strangers and sojourners with me. Footprints in the sand is what it reminds me of. The next one, we got a question for you. If we're responsible for taxes. This is all a scam, he says.
Scam. I mean, we got people that's getting ready to retire that's going to try to live off $2,000 to $3,000. Impossible. Because what happens, it comes up here, we spend it. We're $35 trillion in debt. We don't have any money. We're dead broke. And then taxpayers have $2 trillion in credit card debt. In this body, we had better start figuring that out, because we're going to have a run on this city, and there's going to be about 150 million people coming up here saying, "Where's our damn money?"
Going to have a run on the city. What city? Will it happen in more cities than one? See the implication? People are slowly finding out.
that we paid in. I could have put my Social Security money 40 years in the market and probably be worth 8 to 10 million today, but the federal government wasted it.
Yeah, and I'd like to point out when Social Security was
federal government wasted it specifically in what's known as a spendthrift fund.
first founded, it was started out as a 2% tax, and they said this will never take more than 6% of your income. Today, it takes 12.4%, and depending on whether you go with CBO or Social Security trustees, it needs to take between 15.8 and 17.5%. So we're talking about thousands of dollars more per year. It also was actually only originally recommended that the tax be up to $66,000, equivalent in today's dollars of earnings. But over time,
But over time, inflation, interest, greed, gluttony, more privatized banking regulations, more indoctrination, more people succumbing to that manual, the mammon money, instead of learning how to be diplomatic and use the proper grammar and etiquette to make his yay. Next one is part 2 of telling the cops that they'll be changing the world one person at a time. Let's take a look. I couldn't find part 1 for some reason, but this one was good enough.
We can shut my door. My door is I got speakers, aftermarket speakers on my door, in which they've been damaged. Yes, my
Cop stops fire marshal for window tint. A fire marshal has tint permit. He has a permit for the tint, and that's all they're supposed to require. He tried to show it to him. The guy wouldn't look at it.
My door wide open, so you see. So when I filed a complaint, you know, my speaker's been damaged. You guys will be able to see it. So what are you looking for?
I'm trying to see if your high beam was on, because I know when you make that turn that your one light was up.
So now he's going from tint to high beam and low beam as to whether a light was out. See, they're not honorable men, folks. Shouldn't trust any of them. Shouldn't trust any of them. Like I say about not believing me, not believing the neighbor, not believing the government, not believing the mother. You shouldn't trust any of these people. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't believe the guy in the car was honorable. Talking about his speakers being ruined because he had a permit for window tint.
Well, why? The guy opened his door and he didn't have any right to. He's already violating the man's rights.
But what do you need a permit for your privacy for?
Because that's the onus probandi. If you don't understand that car, that's a temple for his body. That's for his safety. That's why it's built the way it is. That's a temple. And his onus probandi of providing his own privacy, he gets a permit so he can tint his windows for privacy. It's already said.
But the permit means, doesn't the permit mean it gives me the right to do something I don't originally have the right to do?
Correct. Because under a civil privilege, you don't have the right to tint your windows. That's why they have a tint law. But you're not under civil rights. You're under your private rights, asserting that you have every right and the responsibility of onus probandi of providing your own privacy. That means in order to fulfill the law, you must tint your windows to maintain that privity. It's a type of language. Visual. Just because they're tinted doesn't mean he's subject to your jurisdiction. Remember, folks, in order for a court to have jurisdiction, you must first volunteer personal jurisdiction. So
which is why he got the permit.
Correct. He's already maintained jurisdiction, and the officer is posing that he already has jurisdiction when he can't possibly have jurisdiction. He is indefinitely, he is definitely violating this man's private right and his responsibility, onus probandi, of providing privacy, which he's already.
But that's his public. But that's his public right by getting the permit.
It doesn't matter. It's the agreement. It's a contract fulfilling his responsibility of onus probandi, privacy. He gets to set his terms. I'm not using it as a public service. I'm using it for my private intent And under the private intent, I maintain my privacy. In other words, I have to be able to cover my windows so people can't just presume I am in public because they can view me in public. You have to understand these laws are meant for a reason, and it's permission, correct? Permission. I am on a mission of privacy. It is not necessarily subjecting yourself to their jurisdiction. It's letting them know your jurisdiction, and you have authority above and beyond what their legal system provides. Therefore, you are entitled to do which is otherwise illegal.
Right.
The next,
Illegal according to who?
to
If you
them.
don't have, they
To
give you a
them.
driver's license and you can drive, but if you don't have a driver's license, you can't drive. So they're licensing what would otherwise be illegal if you don't pay them. That's what he just said.
See, you can't drive without a license. You can't perform commercially on state business without a license. You have to have a license to do so. If not, and you're caught driving for hire, the transportation of persons or property, you are violating their legal codes. However, if you are not doing so for hire, and you are doing for your own private intents and purposes of moving yourself and your property, that which you have a right and interest in the enjoyment of, which would include your friends, your associates, their property, and other such, for private exchanges, no problem. But for hire means you have to institute the state on state business, a third party officious intervener.
But what is, Keith, do you know anything about this? Once you register your car, you're actually registering in a national theft prevention program? Is actually
Correct.
what this is all about? What the fuck?
Correct, and it's voluntary.
Exactly.
It's mandatory if you have an oath of office and that license. It's mandatory because
if you're in a
it's state
commercial
property.
capacity, if you're a commercial
Right.
capacity.
Because it's considered state property, and they have to protect their property through the theft prevention program. That's the motor vehicle theft prevention program. That's why they say you have to register it, and it's not for those plates aren't for necessarily the license. It's for the registration in that program. And under 29 CFR, let me pull it up.
They want to go right to identifying that vehicle
Excuse
with
me,
the VIN.
28 CFR, I'm sorry. 28 CFR 29.10. And again, it's the Judicial Administration, Department of Justice, Motor Vehicle Theft Prevention Act regulations. Owner withdrawal from the program. It's 2 sentences, folks, and it tells you to fulfill the law. Any owner may withdraw from the program at any time by completely removing the program decal and changing the license plate if necessary. 1 sentence. The second sentence says the owner is also encouraged to what? Notify the participating agency in writing of such withdrawal. That is notice. The first duty of law is legal notice. He gave them legal notice by going to them and letting them know, hey, I'm going to fill out this permit to tint my windows to let you know that I have such authority to do so, despite your legal code saying I can't.
So would you do the administrative process on this, get them to acquiesce after 3 non-replies and 30 days, and then go ahead and just record that?
No. I'm going to do a private administrative process of giving them notice that they have no authority to even dispel any case in those courts because I haven't granted voluntarily personal jurisdiction.
Right. But you want to put that on the record anyway, or just have that actually as part of your record?
No, it's a private communication. Why would I want to violate my privacy by putting it on a public record where it doesn't belong? I am not supposed to be entering data elements into their public record because
all,
I
okay.
am not a public official or an agent thereof.
How is not the permit the public thing?
This is turning
It's
the furniture
notice.
in.
Listen, it's notice, and it's an equity imputes an intent to fulfill an obligation. He's telling them, I have a greater obligation to my privacy as an onus probandi to tell you to stay the fuck out of my business. In doing so, I have to legitimately show you visually one of those aspects, which is tinting my windows, regardless of your city ordinance that says I'm not supposed to. Once your nice policy enforcer comes up and shows that he's trying to enforce that tint policy, and I show him my permit that says otherwise, he is supposed to listen. The First Amendment, freedom of expression. It's already been expressed.
Wow.
Once he ignores that, he is in violation. He then turned around and opened the door. He's already expressed it. He's already asserted his First Amendment. And he did not delegate them authority to regulate and subject him to the tint laws, but showed his authority above and beyond them, and they agreed and acquiesced and said, yes, you may tint your windows above and beyond our gradient. Has the documentation to show it to them for their public interest, but it is asserting his privacy. It's an authoritative document. It is not subjected to them.
Turn your high beam on now.
You said my high beams?
Your high beams.
So, what? All right, not a problem. Second suggestion is that my vehicle headlights, one of my headlights was off. Sound like similar to the Brandon Tate Brown issue, you know, but both my headlights are functioning properly. Requested a supervisor at 728 and refused to give him the paperwork to the vehicle because the state of Pennsylvania, for the reason why he's stopping me, invalidates his traffic stop for stopping a vehicle just for the sole purposes of sunscreening, in which PennDOT, I have a PennDOT exemption.
I am for that today. You can stop for the sole purpose of vehicle tint 4520.
Oh, you can stop, but once I present paperwork to you invalidating your traffic stop, well, I showed it to you, you refused to look at it.
I showed it to you, and you refused to look at it. Again, the First Amendment. I individually have the right of freedom of expression, but you and everybody else that will watch this video and down in the chat and everybody around this world more inherently has a greater right to know. In that right to know, these public officials have a duty to listen. When the people speak, they have a duty to listen. The people are their bosses.
Give me I wasn't stepping into your vehicle.
You don't have to step in. I can hold it right here and you can flash your flashlight. I'll do it again.
Tell me what I can see, sir.
I can tell you whatever I want because you're a public servant and you work for me. I pay my taxes.
I pay my taxes. That's part of the problem, though, folks. Again, that's that 14th Amendment, United States citizen and state residency for income tax purposes, and you ain't it. Yet you still claim it. This is one of the problems that I have with, of course, he's a fire marshal, so he's got a proper claim of residency for income tax purposes as an official of the local community. He is a federal, state, or municipal officer or agent in an official office or a agent contracting with such an official. And like he said, he has a contract also with those other officials. Even though he's a fire official, he's also got another contract for the tint on his windows as a private man.
Bro, that one definitely hurt. I am not gonna lie. I'm pretty sure that hurt. That had to hurt because it's like he is like you could tell officers just doing a little bit too much. Like it's not like as bad as like what we seen before, but you could definitely tell like he doesn't like how this dude is like kind of like he taking over this traffic stop. I'm not gonna lie, but y'all tell me what y'all think.
You pay. I pay. Look, I pay my taxes. You work for me.
I don't work for you.
You work for me. Well, tonight you work for me, Officer Holloway. All right. That's why you're standing there waiting for your supervisor and I'm sitting here.
And I'm perfect.
All right. It's not a problem. And I'll be down here all day and every other day after that and every time you stop me. Here we go. Sunscreen and permit again, just so you can see.
See how insolently the officer responds, arrogant and disrespectfully. See, he's a public official. When it comes down to this diplomacy and the etiquette when we address each other, this is the part that bothers me. It shows that they don't have any spirituality. They don't have any diplomacy. They're straight up standing as an armed military force. Period. That's the way I interpret it, because that's the way they act.
All right. Here you go. Here's the seal from state of Pennsylvania right here. Do me a favor. Well, you snatched it out in the window so I can get wet. Okay. So, all right.
Yeah, see, and that's a liability. He took that document from that man. That's his property. He said he could look at it. I'd charge him with theft. The terms were made clear. So anyway, what do you think, Mitch? You understand that concept of the tinted windows as a owner's probandi of maintaining your own privacy? Now you have the right to assert that?
Yes. I think it's relevant to the driver's license too.
Absolutely. It's mandated for those that are subject to the law already. And even if you are subject to the law, as this man is under his official capacity as a fire marshal, being one of those residents, that law does apply to him. But he evidently understood the law well enough that he could still assert his private right, the right of enjoyment in the possession and use of a thing for his own benefit and not to his detriment, and therefore being able to shed off that despotic government official trying to pose he has jurisdiction to give him any kind of tickets when he's clearly in his private capacity. So let's take a look at the next one. Tyrant cop gloves up but gets owned. Let's see who this is.
You got an ID on you?
I sure don't.
You don't have an ID on you?
No, I don't.
Okay, what's your name?
I'm not going to give you that.
Okay, well, we're here for a legitimate reason, so I'm asking for your name.
Sure. Okay, you can ask all you'd like.
Okay, well, if you're not going to give me that name and you're here and you have no legitimate reason,
I'm not going to leave either. I'm busy doing something, obviously.
Well, then just explain to me what you're doing.
I'm filming. It's quite evident. What's your name and badge number? Let's start with that.
My name is Officer Jesse Neely, 2405.
Okay, cool. What's your name and badge number?
Chase Denson, 2411.
2411. Okay, great.
Is there a reason you're blocking the ambulance call?
Yeah, it's city property. I wasn't in her face. I have it all on camera, obviously.
She was telling me.
She can say what she wants. Camera doesn't lie.
Well, can you show us then?
See, and that's the thing about having these cameras, folks. When people are insane in these official capacities, like we're talking about here, this ambulance driver, this EMT, and this is not to put any specific occupation down or anything. We're just pointing out the obvious imbalances of things that we see them. Like this man says, the video doesn't lie. So when people start acting like we've been seeing and saying things and ruining their own statements by, like we saw earlier, the guy that was trying to show somebody logic about the prenatal fetus and the child after he's born, and then dealing with meth, it's her choice, right? Well, no, then we got to step in. Well, then you're stepping in and violating that very right that you're supporting, that it's her body, but it's a child. No, you just said it wasn't a child. So this is why we do these videos.
It's not open to the public just to walk in there.
It definitely is.
No, it's not. There's a reason it's not open.
No. Before we go any further, I'm going to explain something to you. It's not up to you.
It is up to me.
There's no signs, and it was wide. I'm not going to listen to you because you're not correct. I'm not going to leave either. I'm busy conducting business right now.
Building because there's medical stuff.
Okay, point to me the sign then.
It doesn't have to be posted.
Doesn't have to be.
No.
What do you think, guys? Think? Does it have to be posted? Like I said, the first duty of law is legal notice, right? It's one of them onus probandies that they're supposed to follow. See, the law is for thee and not for we.
So it's about reasonability, reasonable. right? So first and foremost, let's start with RAS. Reasonable articulate suspicion would require that me filming, which by the way is a constitutionally protected activity, is allowed. You can't condone that as suspicious. What's your name and badge number, ma'am? You don't know? Okay, what's your badge number? Good. Do you have a business card? What is with your attitude? Well, the whole shoulder shrug thing tells me either that you're young and you don't care, or B, you don't like me. Okay, then let me get your business card. Let me get your business card as well.
Okay, so now that you
So let me-
actually violate the law, you are required to give some
What violation would that be? You have to.
I'm telling you.
Sure.
You prevented the ambulance from responding to a call.
Incorrect. In fact, on film, we can talk to the judge about it, but
You can talk to the judge about it.
you're gonna have to go too. That's
You can talk to the judge about it. No, 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 no. You're the one writing down that complaint. Remember, Mitch? See, they think this is going to go to court if it was me. Yeah, it's going to go to court. It's going to go to the Federal Court of Claims. Tort claim against your ass. No other court.
Keith, have you heard about people taking the ticket and, writing without prejudice, whatnot, sending it off to
got
the
an idea?
Secretary of State?
You have to say that again. I messed up here.
They take a ticket. They go ahead and don't fight the cop on it or anything, and just sign it without prejudice, under duress, under threat of arrest or whatever. Take the ticket, send it to the Secretary of State within the first, couple days or something, and refuse for cause. The Secretary of State will send it to the Attorney General. The Attorney General will send it back to the department, and the cop is going to have to pay it due to the fact that you didn't sign it. You actually co-signed it. He's the one that signed that security.
Right. He's the one that issued it.
Correct. So he's
Right.
responsible for it ultimately.
Yep. And understand, again, this is one of those things you'd comprehend when you read these codes and everything. 9-104, let me see. UCC 9-104, control of deposit account. No, that's not it.
99 out of 100 of them cops don't know what they're even doing, I guarantee you.
I'll have to look it up and see if I can find it again. But there is a thing in there about the issuer, and that will tell you the whole thing. The issuer is the one that's liable on the obligation. And he's absolutely right. That officer signs that ticket, and then he asks you to sign it. You are the co-signer.
you don't like me. Okay, then let me get your business card. Let me get your business card.
Responding to a call.
Incorrect. In fact, on film, we can talk to the judge about it, but
You can talk to the judge about it.
you're gonna have to go too. That's the thing.
You don't know that.
Because yeah, I do. Because
Now you have to.
I'm not gonna ID myself.
Hey, if you don't, then I'm just going to tell you, you're going to jail.
Okay.
Okay. You have.
I've been to jail before. I'm okay with
You
that.
have to supply an ID when you violated the law.
I didn't violate the law because an obstruction of a legal process or an emergency service would require me standing in the way, which I did not do. They chose to not leave. I even said they don't have to leave. Yeah, that doesn't stop anyone from going
You
anywhere.
can't leave that building unsecured. There's medical stuff.
I got out. I'm standing here talking to you. Am I not?
What is wrong with you? What is
Something's wrong with you. You don't understand the law, number one. You don't like First Amendment auditors, obviously.
I do understand the law. And
See, and this is the part I'm missing in this one, so I can't really say a whole lot. But from what the auditor says, he says he left the building when they requested him to, which I could understand. I think most auditors understand the trespass laws, that once they're requested to leave, they should leave. That would only be respectful. Again, a matter of diplomatic address. Hey, we're busy. We've got a call. We've got to leave. I need you to leave the building. Okay.
I'm fully support the Constitution.
Are you? Because it doesn't seem like it right now. You told me that I'm suspicious because I'm filming. So let's.
That's the call that we received.
Sure, it's still not illegal.
It's not illegal.
Nope. Doesn't mean, and I don't have to ID to you.
Being suspicious is not illegal in itself.
Correct.
Correct. But when you prevent them from responding to a call,
I would actually have to do that in order for them to not be able
that is
to.
illegal.
Hey, well, I'd have to actually prevent them.
You are required to present an ID.
I'm not going to prevent ID. I will show you my camera.
Can you show me the camera then? Show
Great.
me that.
See, and they have to listen. He's got evidence showing that he did leave, then he should show him, and that's what he's doing. So I think this is absolutely, a good audit so far. So remember, the video doesn't lie, and as public officials, that First Amendment freedom of expression is enforced by showing them that video. Be prepared. The next one says, is closing the door best test for her assistant. And this is one of those social social tests that we have to check out. At least I feel.
Hello. Who are you here to see? Not here to see who, here to see a thing. What thing? My office. Miss Dutton. Winner, turkey dinner. This is Miss Dutton.
It's a pleasure to finally.
All this shit has to go. I feel like I'm in my fucking gynecologist's office.
I'll get the design team.
Nope, I'll do it myself. What's your name?
Cal.
Where are you from, Cal? Let me guess. Menlo Park.
Palo Alto, right next to it. How'd you guess that?
I just read the tea leaves, buddy. How long you been boinking the receptionist?
Yeah.
You know how that's gonna end, don't you? So here's the thing. I need my assistants to put all their efforts into not being pussies, okay? I do not need them chasing it.
You want me to break up with her?
I want you to find another job.
I'm not really sure what you're asking.
I'm not asking you anything, Cal. I'm firing you. Get the fuck out of my office. Get my own coffee. Hey, Cal?
Yeah.
Shut my fucking door.
Yep.
Hello.
See, sometimes you just got to learn how to act like a boss. If you want certain things in your life, you can't associate with people that are going to fuck that up. So everything in your life, if you look at it like a contract, and you're the boss of that contract, know the contract, know thyself, and I guarantee you, you're going to be able to push those pussies aside because you're going to recognize them, and you're going to be able to let them know they're pussies and get the fuck out of your way. Pure and simple.
That's Beth Dutton. She don't have any problems pushing somebody out of her fucking way.
And it's kind of a bluntness that people need to learn. I think that's why I showed it. You got to learn how to be blunt and honest. Listen, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I don't like pussies around me. And as I see it, you're a pussy. So you can get on down the road and find yourself another job because I'm the boss around here.
That's a hot bitch right there. I love that woman, man.
Just like the guy, the fire marshal. You got to learn how to be the boss.
Yeah.
We got another police cam video coming up.
Unlock the door. No, take me to jail, but they fucked up. So, hey. I don't care at this point. Right, so you fucked up. All right, I'll talk to you. Let's talk. Man. Freedom of speech. Okay. I'm on a public sidewalk. Yeah. For you to be, what did you say I was charged with? Obstruction? Obstruction is a physical act. Yeah. You realize that?
A physical act. In other words, he has to be physically involved in obstructing. Just like the last one, he would have had to remain in the building and obstructed them from leaving to be obstructing them.
Right. Now, so I'm on a sidewalk with freedom of speech, and I got manhandled and thrown in cuffs. Do you realize it's about to cost you the department? And when you find out what my name is and who I am, you're really going to find out they fucked up because they're not trained properly. You sergeants are supposed to train them properly. Sure. Hey, citizens have the right to freedom of speech. As long as they're not physically interfering with an interaction, they have the right to say whatever on the sidewalk. Guess what this guy did? He threatened me first, and then he fucking tackled me with his buddies. Do you know? I'm just, all right. All right. No, that's fine. That's fine. Do what you got to do. Okay. Just know, when you look me up and you look at my name, I've already sued you guys for $225,000 and I won, and I'm about to do it again.
And about to do it again.
Hey,
and about to do it again.
You see them do that to S.W.A.P, Warren S.W.A.P, former NFL Super Bowl fucking.
Oh yeah. And I'm sure he settled out of court.
Has he settled yet? He's got a $20 million lawsuit against C.O.W.A.R.D.S. I don't know if he settled yet.
And again, I bet they settle out of court.
Oh yeah. Okay, they're going
out of court. Understand? Out of court.
That would be advisable.
Okay. Let's see here. The next one we got. Oh look, a new tipping demand brought to you by the people.
Did you guys see this hot take?
Oh, she's sweet but a psycho.
How to tip your server. Your bill, $107.53. Move the decimal over 1. $10.75. In other words, that's a 10% tax or gift. That's what it's based on. That's the reality. That's the reality. Now they're saying then times it by 3.
That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
That's $32.75. $32.75. So they want you to pay 30% in a gift tax, a a tip to them.
Whose bright idea is this?
Arrested. All right,
It's just
did you guys
amazing.
see this hot take?
It's just amazing where people get these concepts and believe they can enforce them. It's a tip. You go around demanding me pay a tip like that, and I won't be back.
Oh, she's sweet but a psycho, a little bit psycho. At night she's screaming, mama.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all about tipping. In fact, I believe in tipping well, especially for exception.
Damn it.
All right, how about?
Damn it.
Did you guys see this hot
My
take?
mouse is so
30% that you can. That if you can't afford to tip 30%, then you can't afford to eat out. I'm trying to figure out who these people are actually trying to help. Because if millions of people actually took this advice and stopped eating out, I'm willing to bet that would have a negative impact on servers.
Absolutely. Like I said, I won't be back.
Yeah. This is the sort of video that gets made by people whose self-righteousness far outpaces any understanding of basic economics. Did you guys see this hot take?
Oh, she's sweet but a psycho, a little bit psycho. At night she's screaming, mama.
Now, don't get me wrong.
A little bit psycho. Now we got a cop gets owned. You're filming me? Okay.
This man was sitting in his car filming a cop ticketing a homeless man. When the cop noticed him, he stormed over.
Ticketing a homeless man. Funny how that works, because in those systems, they're supposed to be able to prove residency. And if one is homeless, then that means they're not a resident. They're being called homeless, right? It means they don't have a residence, right? So they're not a resident, right? Come on, guys. Let's get real. The law is specific.
Over and started demanding ID and threatening detainment. But when the cop got caught lying about a trespass order trying to intimidate him, just wait to see how this driver flips the script and puts this power-hungry officer in his place.
You apparently have been sitting here for some time because you've been filming me, so I'm curious as to whether or not you're going to go and buy food or you're going to sit in your car. I'm going to inform you that if you don't go to that business or this business, you need to leave.
There's no business.
See, now he's trying to force contract. He's trying to say, if you don't go to that business or that business and conduct business. See, he's saying the guy doesn't have a right to privacy and not do business.
Yes, there is.
It's closed. They closed it down how many years ago?
I just got a trespass letter on file from them probably 6 months ago, so I know that it's a business.
This man was sitting in his car filming a cop.
It's closed. They closed it down how many years ago?
I just got a trespass letter on file from them probably 6 months ago, so I know that it's a business. So you can either exit your car and go to Wendy's, or you can go into Big Lots, but you can't loiter in the lot in your car.
And I have to do this right now just because you told me to?
Yes.
I'm gonna take my time. And
Can't loiter in the lot as you are. Huh?
I'm gonna go do what I
That's
gotta
private property. What the fuck is he saying?
Exactly. It's a parking lot to a business that's private property, and the business owner hasn't given him specific instructions to trespass. And just because they instructed him to trespass somebody else doesn't mean it's a blanket trespass that you can now go around and say everybody's trespassed, because that's not the way the law works.
Yeah, nobody's trespassing, but businesses haven't said anything. You can't trespass me just because you want to.
I'm telling you, they have letters on file with the Ventura Police Department.
Again, does it specifically? Yeah, does it specifically name me or any kind of criminal offense to which to be trespassed? It doesn't.
So if you're not,
I just told you I'm going to conduct business. I'm going to take my time. I'm not going to rush.
This man was sitting.
See, that's the problem. You're not conducting business. You're sitting there minding your own private life. You're not bothering anybody. This is not a consensual communication. You came up and started interfering with my privacy. I didn't ask you to be involved.
That was an investigation and an interrogatory.
Absolutely. And if they want to try to say, well, you were filming me, I don't care. Again, you give up the right of privacy in your public office. You have no privacy. Next one is 60 kg versus 100 kg. When the weak dominates the strong.
At first glance, it might look like this man is hitting his child due to the size and weight difference. But in reality, He's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu master, a small fighter who will show you that in a fight, it's not size or strength that matters, but technique and strategy. Despite the weight difference with Roger, who weighs 120 kilograms compared to his 60, Remison confidently takes the center of the octagon, showing no fear. With a Superman punch, Ryson tries to destabilize his opponent to take him to the ground. But since his opponent weighs more than 60 kilograms more than him, he has to put in a lot of effort. Plus, his rival lands powerful body shots, making things even harder for him. Once on the ground, Remison quickly gains the advantage.
Does he remind you of a monkey climbing on a gorilla?
With his jiu-jitsu skills. He completely controls his panicked opponent, who falls into the Brazilian's experienced trap. After taking the top mount position, he forces the 2-meter giant to tap out with an...
Don't ever let the little guy fool you. He climbs you like a monkey. You better be scared. You better be scared. Just a warning, folks. Had to throw that one in there. Here we get a security guard gets a reality check. Oops, says video unavailable. I held that one too long. So let's try the next one. You don't tell me what to do. Another cop.
This guy was just shopping when he noticed this off-duty cop working security at the store. But because the cop was posturing very weirdly, the guy had the audacity to...
Off-duty cop working as security at a store. I wonder how much of this outfit that he's wearing is part of his police uniform and he just switched the coat and the badge.
Call him out. Guess what happened next?
You want to do me a favor? Get your hand up, please. Get your hand up, sir. Get your hand up, man. You don't have to have your hand on your dude.
You don't tell me what to do. You understand? There's money.
You don't tell me what to do. You understand it as he comes up and tries to reach for his camera. Yeah. See?
That's assault and battery.
Yep.
Whoa, don't try to grab me, tyrant.
Don't tell me what to do.
What's your name and badge number? Oh, you just up, buddy.
Got butthurt because another man told him what to do or what not to do. Got so butthurt, he went up and assaulted the man, got physical with him.
What's wrong with you? Well, this guy right here. What's your name and badge number, man? What's your name and badge number, you tyrant? You get out of... Excuse me, sir. This guy just hit me right now?
How so?
He just hit me right now.
How so?
He snatched my phone out of my hand. All I did was ask him to get his hand off his... And he got a temper. He started cursing at me and snatched my phone out of my hand. This guy up, man. He just snatched my phone out of my hand. I want to press charges.
You don't tell me what to do.
I want to press charges.
Yes, we do tell you what to do. You work for the store. And just like any police officer, you have to have reasonable, articulable suspicion. And you, as a security officer, damn well better have it because it could cost the store.
With this guy.
This guy was just...
Lawsuit incoming. Absolutely.
Keith, I'm going to cut out of here, bro. Appreciate you having me, and I'll catch up on the rest of this later and join you again.
You bet. Thanks for stopping up, brother.
Absolutely. Take care, bro.
You bet.
Take care, Mitchell, and have a good evening.
Later, man.
Now, earlier I was talking about who you are. Know thyself. Here's one. It says shorts trending. Who are you?
Who are you? Huh? Who are you?
Who am I?
Yeah, what's your name?
I'm the police. What's up?
Lesniak?
Yeah,
what the fuck are you doing over here? Get on. I want a sergeant here right now. I need your.
Sergeant's right there.
All right.
There you go. You okay?
Hey, come here. What's your name? Hey, whoa! What's your name? Out of your car right now.
And you'll understand why he's trying to be so forceful here in a minute, guys. This is despicable.
I need your name. Identify yourself. Are you drunk?
Sergeant Husera.
You're drunk, aren't you?
What can I do?
You've been drinking, haven't you?
What can I do?
You've been drinking, Husaric. Listen, Eric. You've been drinking? You've been drinking. Yeah, you've been drinking.
You need something.
You're drunk.
Need some help,
You're
sir?
drunk. Yeah, I need an officer. I need an officer. Dude, you guys are fucked up.
Okay.
You guys are fucked up.
You need some help?
Yes.
You don't need anything. We got other things to do.
Holy shit, dude. You are fucking wasted.
Need some help, sir?
Yes.
What do you need?
I need the police right here. I need
Right
someone
here.
else beside you.
Right here.
I need 911. You're not going anywhere.
If you're misusing 911, that's illegal.
That's okay. You can charge me with. You can charge me. Hi, I need a police officer here on Capri and GG Lane. I'm at the GG bar right now. I need a police officer here right now.
I'm at the GG bar. These guys were sitting at the bar having a few drinks, and he was sitting out watching.
I need a police officer here right now. I'm requesting a police officer.
Hold on 1 second. Yeah, we're out with that male at Capri. He's calling 911.
You guys are in trouble. Trust me.
I don't know if you can hear that officer in the background, but he certainly sounds like he's right on the verge of slurring. And you can see him bobbling back and forth a little bit there as he's holding on to his car door.
You guys fucked with the wrong bull. I've been looking for you. You guys are fucking wasted. I need another police officer. I need a lieutenant here right now. I need a lieutenant. I need a lieutenant here right now. I'm calling 911. You guys are in trouble, dude. You guys fuck with me. You're being in a lot of trouble, dude.
You have a car here?
You're wasted. I've been sitting here for 2 hours waiting for you to come back.
2 hours he was sitting outside waiting for him. How many drinks you suppose they had in the bar in that 2 hours? Now, again, I'm only putting forward the story that I see that this guy's putting out. And I can only imagine by the body language of these two guys and how quiet they are and not wanting to say much because they know they slurring. Again, if you watch this guy on the radio to the dispatch, you know, kind of sounded like he was bobbling and wobbling and babbling.
Now I'm requesting a police officer.
Hold on 1 second. Yeah, we're out with that male at Capri. He's calling 911.
You guys are in trouble. Trust me. You guys fucked with the wrong bull. I've been looking for you. You guys.
Yeah, I think that guy's drunk too, by the body language and stuff. Not for sure, but seems plausible to me. And this is why we got to watch out for these people. You shouldn't trust any of them. And like I said, evidently he was sitting in that parking lot waiting for him for 2 hours. Here we got some moonshiners detained by police. And this is from the Discovery Channel from the moonshiners. But pay attention to something here.
Just keep your hands on the wheel.
Yes, sir.
I'm Colby Franco with the County Sheriff's Office. Stopping you because he drove off the road back there. So what's in the back of the truck?
It's just scrap copper. It's copper.
It's copper. Okay.
We was headed to the scrap yard with it.
Scrap yard, scrap copper.
All righty. Well, as soon as my backup gets here, we'll investigate a little bit more, see what's going on.
We understand.
Okay.
And again, I understand this is a staged event, you know, obviously, Discovery Channel. But again, when you do your research and you look into the things, you find out that what they're stating here is true and factual.
What's going on, Kobe?
Hey.
So you got my two boys here.
Yeah.
Damn if it isn't Captain David Robertson, the one that's chased us so hard in the past.
Look like you ain't into no good today, are you?
No, sir, we're not.
I'm gonna put your ass in jail, I'm telling you. It's getting about that close. I about got you. Go ahead and step out here for me, Digger.
Yes, sir.
Put your hands up on the car, Art.
All right, go ahead and put your hands behind your back there.
Now you see something wrong here with the process. Is that they've got a suspicion and that's it. They have nothing else. And yet they're still putting these men in cuffs.
This last time I talked to you, just never heed no warnings, do you?
Well, I do remember what you told me last time you seen me.
What was that?
You said you boys got to be lucky all the time. I just got to be lucky once.
Today might be my good damn day, I guess.
Nope.
Just watch your head there.
Don't think so.
About 30 seconds
Taking them into custody for their own safety? Come on.
from them being 100% totally sure that we're in violation of the law. Damn, these handcuffs hurt. We're done for.
Yeah, they got the burner stands. They got every damn thing they need right here today. Which for most of we've been used here recently.
Oh, yeah.
Got your burner stuff. You got everything in here ready to go today. About time it's my turn.
Spoke too soon.
Damn thing.
What?
It's got a damn hole in it. It's inoperable. You might as well cut them a damn loose.
It's inoperable.
You want me to cut them loose?
You have to. It's got a hole in it. It's inoperable. Can't do nothing with it.
It's inoperable. Can't do nothing with it. Gotta cut them loose. Understand the words. And when you read those words and understand the context they're in, this is the kind of shit you can do. It's called avoiding the law by following the law. Now, here's a funny one. I got to bring a joke into it, kind of lighten things up a little bit, but watch this.
Chick freaks out on a dating show when bros just act like bros and the answers keep getting better.
Do you know any good jokes?
Gender equality.
Oh. Oh, no.
Excuse me?
Oh, no.
Again, you can call me a misandrist or misogynist all you want, excuse me. But I do enjoy a good feminist joke.
Can you just repeat that for me, number one, please?
I think you heard what I said.
Oh, wow. Oh my God. I don't think I have to ask the rest of the questions. Wow. Okay, number two, please.
Well, my girlfriend dumped me, so I stole her wheelchair. Guess who came crawling back?
Yeah. I couldn't help but to laugh at that one.
Number four.
I like to work with charities for underprivileged.
That last one was pretty good too, huh? Okay. Here we got a one-plate stop. In other words, he didn't have a plate on the front, so they stopped him.
Good, about yourself.
Hi, I'm Officer LaSoya with the Almost Park Police.
And your badge number?
I'll get you my badge.
No, I need your badge number. That way I can identify you
right
properly.
now, but the reason why I pulled you over, sir, is because you have only one license plate in the back. It's two.
This is Louisiana plates, and Louisiana only requires one plate.
Okay, well, Texas, it's two.
I don't care what Texas says. Louisiana says one plate. What do I need to give you my driver's license for? What law have I come to?
Traffic stop.
Is a
Traffic stop applicable to residents. And if you're from another state, then that would imply the United States citizenship as a matter of interstate transaction. Equality of the law among the states. So again, you still have to prove that he's a resident of the state. You can't do that.
Traffic stop, yes, but what law did I violate?
Okay, because I'm telling you that.
Okay, but I'm telling you, Louisiana only has one plate.
I don't know.
I don't have to ID you. I don't have to ID you. I am not breaking no
Texas.
law. I'm not breaking no law. You're going to understand this right off the bat. I ain't breaking no law. If you can tell what law I've broken, then I'll ID. Louisiana only requires one plate, people. Is that your sergeant that you just called?
Yes, sir, it is.
All right, congratulations.
Okay. So the reason why I pulled you over, like I said, I didn't know how long you've been in Texas. I did.
It doesn't. Yeah. Well, I'm telling you. What's your name and badge number? Can you get your light out of my eyes?
Turn down the light.
Turn down the light.
No.
See, how long one is in Texas is a relevant issue because you have to reside in Texas for 6 months to obtain that residency. And it's only when you obtain that residency that they can bring state statutes against you. Otherwise, what they're doing is bringing state statutes against a foreigner from another country, which is the other state known as a republic.
Turn down the light.
You're back here in Texas now, huh? Daniel? Turn down the light. Back here in Texas, Daniel?
Am I back here in Texas?
Yeah.
I don't answer questions.
Okay.
Turn down your light.
So here's the thing. Let me talk to you real quick.
Okay.
Turn down the light. So here's the thing. No, I'm going to look inside the car.
No, you're going to give me
here's the thing.
Yeah, you're going to turn on the light. Get the light out of my eyes. Get the light out of my eyes.
You listen to me?
Are you going to listen to me?
No. So here's the thing.
No, there is no here's the deal.
So the officer didn't see the plate. Okay. So
she's right behind me. She's seen that plate.
Listen to what I'm telling you. Don't argue with me.
I can argue. I can speak when I want.
Daniel, don't argue with me, Daniel.
I can argue with you if I would like.
The thing is, okay, when she saw the front light that you're missing her front license plate, okay, she didn't know if it was a Texas until she got behind you.
Okay, but once she got behind me, she should have not even pulled me over. She had plenty of time to see that it was a Louisiana plate.
I'm telling you.
I don't have to listen to you. I am doing nothing wrong. Y'all could be dismissed.
I'm trying to explain it to you.
Okay, but she saw the plate.
That's exactly what I'm trying to explain.
You can stutter all you want. She saw the plate.
That's exactly what I'm trying to
Then
explain.
she should have released me. She should have released me.
That's exactly what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay.
Then why are you?
Then why did you even come? Why didn't she dismiss me?
Because I'm trying to explain it to you.
Okay.
Already explained it. Bye-bye.
Get that light out of my.
See, they got to have something to do. So even though you already know it, they have to have a supervisor come. And instead of the supervisor saying, okay, yeah, you were wrong, you need to dismiss him, the supervisor then wants to come up and spend some time explaining it to you. No, you don't need anybody to explain it to you. You need someone to explain it to the other officer. That's the point. So again, kudos on this one. He did a good job here as far as I'm concerned. What do you think, Mitch? Awesome, awesome. Mitch is up there nodding his head.
Yeah, I'm here.
Huh. Now we got one looking for your thoughts as far as alpha male.
The problem is not the high taxes themselves, but the fact that they are not even really funding the government. Government is financed by treasury bonds, paper. And who buys the treasury bonds? Mostly the Fed. And how does the Fed buy them? By printing money. But what backing does the Fed have for that money being printed? The treasury bonds themselves. So basically, you finance the government by printing money out of thin air. Well, so if the government can print the limited amounts of money out of thin air, why do they collect taxes?
Think about that. Seriously think about that. He makes a valid point. And this is one of the points that G. Edward Griffin brought up in The Monster from Jekyll Island.
Answer is simple, but it's very shocking. The real problem is that you pay high taxes only to uphold the illusion that you are funding the government, which you are not. The real problem is not the high taxes themselves, but the fact that they are not even really funding the government. Government is financed by treasury bonds, paper. And who buys the treasury bonds? Mostly the Fed. And how does the Fed buy them? By printing money. But what backing does the Fed have for that money being printed? The treasury bonds themselves.
18 U.S.C. 8. Obligations and other securities of the United States includes those coupons that I mentioned earlier and treasury bonds, United States notes, Federal Reserve notes, stamps and other representatives of value, United States stamps.
So basically, you finance the government by printing money out of thin air. Well, so if the government can print the limited amounts of money out of thin air, why do they collect taxes?
Why do they collect taxes, guys? Why would anybody collect taxes? Again, taxes originally comes from the term tiv, which means gift. So again, like I've said many times, taxes are voluntary. And like this man is saying, they do not go to fund the government. The government funds itself with a reserve currency that is then converted to other currencies. Here we go.
This couple was just chilling at home when these cops outright broke into their house without a warrant or probable cause. But this time they picked on the wrong guy, and what he does shuts them down completely.
Under arrest for disorderly conduct. You can't come in here. You don't have a warrant.
Under arrest for disorderly conduct when their door was closed.
Sir. You understand? You don't have a warrant, sir. You don't have a warrant, sir. Step out of my house, sir. You don't have a warrant. Get out of my house, sir. Step out. Get out of my house. You don't have a warrant, sir. You don't have a warrant, sir. You need a warrant. You need probable cause for charges. You have no probable cause. You cannot enter our home without a warrant. You have no evidence.
And see, that warrant can only issue after that valid complaint is filed with the court through the prosecution. And it must be a complainant with that affidavit signing it as to the first-hand facts. Without any of that, no warrant is good. Period. The foundational elements must exist for a warrant to be issued properly. If any element is missing, even one, then it is not valid on its face.
Evidence of a crime committed, sir.
No, you don't.
We have it on video, sir. There's video cameras outside. You can't arrest her when you have no evidence, sir. What, the word of one guy? You just entered my home without a warrant.
The word of one guy to an officer is not the process. You can't just go in, barging in people's homes, arresting them on the word of a man. Again, it has to be filed with the court in proper form with the signature saying that that man is going to get up there and put his balls on the table so that somebody can cut him off if he's lying and bearing false witness.
Broke the law right there. So you're telling me that you don't need a warrant to enter my home and break my door? Huh?
This couple
doesn't know what to say because he knows he's wrong. Understand your authority by understanding what the law really is and how it works. Here's one that says, "You won't believe how this ends."
Now, this is absolutely hilarious. Make sure you watch until the end because there's a major plot twist at the end. Check it.
And this is where we're going to start getting into some of the other videos aside from the police videos. Again, I know we ran into a few there that were all police videos, but now we're going to look into some others.
What are you wearing?
What am I wearing?
Are you wearing Trump merch?
Yeah, I'm dressed up as a Trump supporter.
Oh, it's beyond inappropriate. We support the Democratic Party. Go change or turn your camera off.
No, I'm not turning off my camera.
Okay.
Guys, it's a Halloween costume.
So they're at a Halloween party. The guy dressed up as President Trump. It's a Democratic Halloween party, and they definitely don't like his costume. This is how hurt they are. It's a danger to their demo crazy.
Why are you making this?
It's the reason we exist. I've had enough of this. I'm setting up a meeting with HR for your termination.
I agree.
I'm setting up a meeting with HR for your termination.
Termination?
You're done. You're done. What? We have been here before.
You are done.
Termination for what? Are you serious right now?
Hey, guys.
Q. Hey, Q.
Sweet costume. You're not going to say
Q shows up with that costume and everybody's sweet costume.
anything about his costume?
What about it?
If this is inappropriate, then what the hell is that?
What's inappropriate about it? I'm a ghost, bro.
You're a ghost?
What did you think I was? I don't know. Never mind. Why is everybody so tense, man? What's going on?
David's getting fired for wearing Trump merch.
That's so stupid. Eric actually voted for Trump.
What?
Yeah, he voted for Trump both elections.
Eric, you literally told me yesterday you voted for Jill Stein.
I wasn't the only one. Chris did too. Dude, come on. This is insane. How many of you actually voted for Trump? Oh my gosh. None of this leaves this meeting. So Harry.
4 of them actually voted for Trump. 3 of them were actually wanting to vote the other guy off. wants a meeting to have him removed. And thanks for Mitch. Thanks for stopping up, Mitch. Appreciate it. You guys go over and check out Mitch Lovin on YouTube. Check him out. He's got some things going on as well. And hopefully you go check him out and show him some love too.
Harrison, you're the only one who didn't vote for Trump?
I mean, I'm not registered to vote.
None.
I'm not registered to vote. This one got nothing but better and better all the way along. And this is the danger to their democracy. They are a danger to themselves, folks. Let's see, it says, get back in your truck and go have your lunch. Let's see what this is.
What are you doing? I'm just taking some pictures and video of the
Oh,
facility.
another cop one. Sorry, guys.
You don't have my permission to use my likeness in your film.
I'm sorry, sir. I can't hear you. Your truck is very loud.
You don't have my permission to use my likeness in your film.
I don't have your permission to use your likeness?
Yeah, you're not using my image on your film.
Sorry, dude, but you were in a official capacity of a public duty as a public servant, which is a public trust. And that means the onus probanity of privacy is on you. And in public service, you have no privacy. You are open to the public. That is part of your duty. An insane proposition by, again, somebody that's supposedly enforcing the law that doesn't know the law and is enforcing his feelers like a beta cuck.
Well, we're in public. You have security cameras
what's your
here.
Name?
Well, my name is Sean.
Sean what?
Just Sean.
What I'm saying is I don't know what you're doing.
I would appreciate it if you backed away from me.
See, that's one of their tactics then, is to go ahead and get right up in your space. See, I don't like that either. And I let them know it. And I'm not so fucking nice about it.
I would appreciate that. Just back away.
So what I can say,
I would appreciate it if you backed away from me.
You're in public.
You're standing inches from me. Back away.
You're in public.
Back away, officer.
You're in public is no excuse to violate another man's right. Period. And that's exactly what this officer is attempting to do. He's already violated the privacy of a space by encroaching too closely. Again, no other animal on this planet would allow that closeness. It's only because men have this diplomatic channel of communication that we seem to pose ourselves to be better. But I'm not. I go to my animal instincts and intuition. You get that fucking close to my face, like I said, I'm not fucking nice about it.
De-escalate. Get back in your truck and go have your lunch. Go enjoy your lunch. This is not what you want to do.
What's the name of your YouTube page?
You want to go to lunch. That's what you want to do. You don't want to do this. There's no reason for it. You thought you were going to intimidate me coming up on me like that. Didn't work, did it?
Thanks for stopping in, tribe. Appreciate it. Hit that thumbs up, folks. Like, share, and subscribe. And there's a PayPal link down there for anybody who wants to share some love. All is appreciated. Let's get back to it.
Didn't back up an inch. Now please back up and de-escalate. Or go get your supervisor. Can you call a supervisor? Because this guy is trying to intimidate me.
We got Dave.
You intimidate those guys in there. You ain't going to intimidate me. You intimidate them because they're in handcuffs and they're in cells. I'm not either one of those right now. So you're not intimidating me. Now back up, go to lunch, stop harassing me, stop trying to intimidate me. I'd like to speak to a supervisor, sir.
Good move. Good move.
I'm the supervisor here right now.
You're a supervisor
He's the supervisor. He stood back and watched the whole thing.
here right now. You're sergeant.
But I will talk to you if you turn that off. I don't want my...
I will talk to you if you turn that off. Now you know why he let it all happen. Because he's of the same fucking mentality. I'm telling you, don't trust these people. They do not know the law. They are operating by their fucking feelers. Beta cocks.
likeness used either.
Right. I understand that you guys have a problem with likenesses being used. I get all that, Sarge. But you just saw one of your
If you
officers.
get it, then turn the thing off. All he asked you was your name, so he can make sure that your
And I said my name is
likeness
Sean.
doesn't get used on any.
He can do whatever he likes. That's fine. He can do that.
All right.
But what he can't do is try and intimidate members of the public. And you, as a supervisor, allowed it to happen.
We will have a deputy here shortly. You can talk to him.
You allowed that as a supervisor to happen, for him to come up in my space and intimidate me.
And as a supervisor, he's the one that trained the other guy, right? So it does go that if the one guy violates and the supervisor is the one that trained him and is acting in the same manner, those violations would be duplicate. In other words, it would be both men violating your rights. Next one, we got a Rhode Island doctor denied admission to U.S. because of photos on the phone. But pay attention to what the photos are and what this video says about what she supports and stuff and why.
Why a Brown University professor was denied entry to the U.S. even though she had a valid visa. As WBZ's Louisa Moeller shows us, because of photos on her phone and her answers.
Valid visa being a diplomatic visa. Not a passport, but a diplomatic visa.
To certain questions, customs officials consider her a possible threat.
Court documents say Rasha Alloway had just gotten off a plane at Boston Logan last Thursday on her way to be an assistant professor and doctor at Brown University on an H-1B or work visa when she was detained and sent back to her home country of Lebanon. Now, new court filings are providing evidence as to why. After arriving in Boston, officials searched her phone and Dr. Alloway was interviewed by a Customs and Border Protection official. She was asked why she had photos of Hezbollah fighters and martyrs, including photos of the designated terror group's assassinated leader, Hassan Nasrallah, on her phone. She answered many came from family and friends through a WhatsApp group. And about Nasrallah, quote, he's highly regarded in the Shia community and he's a religious and spiritual person. As I said, he has a very high value. She also told the official she attended a Hezbollah rally, quote, I attended the commemoration of the death of Nasrallah during this trip while I was waiting for my visa. The customs official refused her admission and canceled her visa. She was detained and put back on a plane to Lebanon on Friday.
I mean, I think that they're within their rights to say, well, we haven't been properly served.
Lawyers for Alloway said Customs and Border Protection ignored an order by a federal judge, allowing the doctor to stay in the U.S. for 48 hours while her case was reviewed. CBP argues their attorneys didn't get the order until after Alloway was in the air.
Until after she was in the air. This is the same thing with the thing about the immigrants that were being deported. They were already in the air when the federal judge ordered them to be returned. And they said, no, we're sorry. Too late. We're already in the air. So remember the tactics. They're same throughout. Just mentioning that in this case.
And as for her interview, immigration attorney Stephen Roth says Customs and Border Protection can search anyone's phone for national security reasons inside an airport and reserves the right to refuse admission to immigrants even if their visa has been approved by the State Department.
But CBP has statutory, regulatory, and legal precedent on their side that allows them to search anyone's phone coming into the United States.
A spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security said a visa is a privilege and not a right, and, quote, glorifying and supporting terrorists who kill Americans is grounds for visa issuance to be denied.
And I can certainly agree with that, and I can see why. I hope everybody else can. Nothing against the woman, but the ideology that seems to be posed by possession of such things would show that maybe there's a contradiction with her being in America because of those. So, being a Christian nation, and allowing an association with a extreme Muslim concept is kind of a safeguard, I think. And again, remember, the visa is a privilege. It's not a right, and that's part of the diplomacy in addressing each other. It's a matter of international relations, and that particular relation probably was a good one to say, hey, we need you to just go back to your own country for now while we sort this out. I tend to agree with that. And yes, CBP does have precedent over the House and all that, the Homeland Security, because of the 5 CFR 575.102. Federal government means all entities of the government of the United States, including the United States Postal Service, which is those that man every border. See, it's the Postal Regulatory Commission, and they work cohesively with Customs and Border Protection because they are the Admiralty branch, the Marines. So let's look at Oregon City police stop. I thought we were already done with these, but I guess I got another one here.
This is
Well, my name's Officer Guthridge. I work for the Oregon City Police Department.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is power inherent in the people. This is a Oregon City police stop from 2023. No license, no registration, no insurance. I was going to do a review on this. I don't know how it got intermixed with the shorts. So no wonder I didn't understand that one. And then, so the next one is when I talk about the definitions and how important it is to do your own research and learning. This next one goes to that.
All right, and welcome.
Wrong again.
oh, you don't happen to get pregnant. It's like not like getting COVID.
I know how
okay?
it works. If I just happen to be pregnant.
Oh, you don't happen to get pregnant. It's like not like getting COVID.
I know.
So we're talking about that abortion issue again, and the right to be stupid, I guess.
Okay. It works. I know how it works.
You don't get the flu.
I know.
How about this? You take responsibility for your orgasms and stop eliminating people smaller than you.
So you're saying I should carry a baby and ruin my collegiate life?
How about this?
And he never mentions it, but, and I'm astounded that he doesn't, but the simple fix to this woman's argument is, hey, if you think your collegiate experience is so much more important, then why don't you just forego the sex like the whore that you want to be and pose that you might get pregnant because you don't know about birth contraception and other things, or just abstaining and being a good woman and concentrating on your collegiate scores. Instead, you want to concentrate on your collegiate scores while being a whore to all the others concentrating on their collegiate scores. How are you going to concentrate on your collegiate scores? This is why we have so many stupid people in the Americas.
Instead of saying ruin, first of all, babies are a blessing. Stop talking about them as if they're some sort of annoyance.
I will have to drop out of college.
Number two,
I will have to drop out of college if you have a child. So don't have a child, dummy.
Two, if you play certain games, you win certain prizes. If you're going to go have sex.
So you're saying.
There you go. That's the closest he gets to it. If you play certain games, you win certain prizes. So if you're going to play that game, yeah, that's the prize. So if you play the game and change the rules and use protection, then you avoid that prize. Or if you just don't play the game, you don't get those prizes.
I should drop out of college to support my child and supporting my life.
I'm saying if you're going to engage in coitus, in the practice of having children, you might end up with a baby. So know that. And guess what? You don't need to have sex before you get married. It's not like showering.
You don't need to have sex before you finish your collegiate career. The same thing. See, you got to get it through your thick skulls sooner or later, folks.
It's not like eating.
Are you married?
Yes, with 2 beautiful children.
Wow, good for you.
I could tell you're not married.
Yeah. If I just happen to be
Let me see here. Okay, here we're going to get into the immigration laws and the redundancy of why it's ridiculous the way these people are responding to Donald Trump and what he's doing with the immigration laws today. Because, again, it's a redundancy. Listen and pay attention.
Our laws while you're here as a visitor, we kick you out. It's very simple. If you break our laws while you're here as a visitor, we kick you out. It's very simple. If you break our laws while you're here as a visitor, we kick you out.
That's Canada. You saw the flag in the background. That's Canada.
I don't know how anybody can disagree with that. If someone shows up in our country claiming to be a student or a temporary worker and they start firebombing coffee shops, bakeries, synagogues, or any other place, then they need to be immediately arrested and they need to be deported.
And he went to an extreme there, but the same goes if you come into a country and you subsist on committing crimes, whether they be gang robbery and selling drugs and things like that. It doesn't have to be to the extreme this guy mentioned with firebombing and stuff, but any general set of crimes that you come in here into any nation and start committing because that's the way you want to live. That's not the way it works.
If someone is obviously a citizen, they should be prosecuted through our legal system and put in prison here in Canada for those sorts of crimes. But there's no excuse for keeping people in this country who are visitors here.
So if you're going to put your own citizens in jail for certain crimes, then the effect of the litigation against somebody that's not from this country and is here illegally would end up in the deportation so that their country could put up with them and their criminal activities. Okay? Helping to sustain the local budgets.
On a temporary visa or permit if they're breaking our laws.
What about people who are here illegally? What about people who have entered the country illegally or who have come to the country, applied for asylum claim, had that rejected, but remain in Canada? Would you deport those people?
Yes, I mean that's supposed to be the policy right now.
That's supposed to be the policy right now. And that's been the policy in the United States for a long time. Just because somebody's now going to finally step up and enforce it rather than try to hoodwink everybody into believing they changed it somehow is the proper way to go, I think. This one here says, well, isn't this interesting? Again, pay attention.
Thank goodness for the internet, because we can just pull up the clips. They all used to agree with Trump. Just saying.
In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes.
Senator Biden, yes or no, would you allow the cities to ignore the federal law?
No.
I think we got to have...
That was a long time ago, okay? Now we got Clinton, Hillary Clinton.
Have tough conditions. Tell people to come out of the shadows. If they've committed a crime, deport them. No questions asked.
Undocumented workers.
And now Obama
broke our immigration laws. And I believe that they must be held accountable, especially those who may be dangerous.
Thank goodness for the internet.
Especially those who may be dangerous. So again, remember, it's just regurgitating everything, except now they want to complain because Trump is actually going to do it. Oh, here we got one, Dan Pina on responsible parenting. And this is part of the message when I go through all this stuff, because I truly believe that it's our fault. We pay for our father's sins, and we must learn how to stand up and pay for those sins by learning what those sins are and learning that our fathers were indoctrinated the same way we were. We have to end this cycle of like people are destroyed for lack of knowledge by taking the course of benefit of the knowledge by learning it.
If your adult child needs a safe space to avoid offensive words, you failed as a fucking parent. If anything in my seminar offends you, blame your parents for raising a pussy.
Blame your parents for raising a pussy.
If your adult child needs a safe space to avoid offensive words, you failed as a fucking parent. If anything in my seminar offends you, blame your parents for raising a pussy.
Blame your parents for raising a pussy.
If your adult child needs a safe...
See, I'm tired of all the crying and whining, folks. It's time to stop it. Just stop it already.
Ever look at other people and wonder, hey, how come they're successful and I'm not successful? Ever look at other people and wonder, hey, how come they're successful and I'm not successful? I'm just as smart as they are. I'm just good looking. I'm probably even better looking than they are, and probably more talented than they are, and they're getting all this cool stuff happening to them and nothing's happening to me. How come I'm not getting all that awesomeness happening in my life? But I just want you to know that you're right. You are pretty freaking awesome, and you should be having more success, and you should be getting all that stuff you think other people are getting. But just remember, don't get upset about other people having stuff and doing things and being successful, because if they can do it, then yeah, you can do it. Just start doing it. Quit your bitching and get on with it. Okay. Sorry if the language is offensive, but you know, sometimes you just gotta get a little salty with it. Sometimes you really gotta take yourself to the tool shed and give yourself a whooping. Okay, so get over that. Take yourself to the tool shed and give yourself a whooping. You really gotta take yourself to the tool shed and give yourself a whooping. Okay, so get over your whining or whimpering and just start doing stuff. Okay. Think about that for a while. Have a super freaking awesome day. Okay, bye.
Okay.
So, at the end of the day, again, it all comes down to you. You really need to stop blaming everybody else. You got to wake up out of this cognitive dissonance, this indoctrination of remember this and remember that, thinking that the police are your authority somehow when they don't even have jurisdiction. It's all built on volunteering and presumptions and fear. And as long as you fear those presumptions and keep volunteering because of them, you will never stand up and do your own research. Again, don't believe me, don't believe the neighbor, don't believe the government, and for crying out loud, don't believe your mother. Do your research so you know. It's time to stop believing. That's little kid shit. We're big boys and girls now. And you guys know me. I love you, but I don't give a rat's ass whether you love me back. That's to say, I don't care if you hate me. I don't care if you don't respect me. That's on you. So may God bless you and have a good night. I want to remind everybody, hit that like, share, and subscribe. There's a PayPal link down there if anybody wants to share some love. Always appreciated. And we'll see you again next time.
What about your mouth? Always make sure the equipment is well maintained.
Whoa.